But yeah, I just want to welcome you guys to tonight's webinar. Hopefully I'm not too loud. I know the other night that Lindsay was kind of loud. So if I am loud, just turn down your microphones or your audio just a little bit. But this is week 8 of the 60 Days to Star Diamond training, and I am so excited that everybody is here live tonight. I know I love the live webinars because I just feel like I'm so much more involved. It's so much more fun. We get to listen to Britney Spears and jam out before we get started. But if you're catching the recording later, that's great too. But either way, it shows that you really want to be here, you really care about your business, and you're looking to grow your team and grow your business. And that is what we're here to do tonight. And I hope you guys came ready to take notes because I am going to go over a ton of stuff tonight. And I hope it's going to help you, get your juices flowing, get your creative, mind going to help you create a plan for yourself and create a plan for your team. So that way you guys can go forward together and grow your businesses together. But I think a lot of you know who I am. Let me go ahead and bring up the next slide here. My name is Brandi Botts. And, maybe some of the newer coaches might not know me, so I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of background about myself. But I am the mother of those 2 little sweet boys right there. Some of you know them personally. That's Lincoln, he's 4.5, and then Lennox is 2 years old. And then that's Jason, my husband. He is the most amazing man in the entire world. Seriously, I could not do this business without him. He's just been such a big help for me, and he's the love of my life. But anyways, guys, I became a coach in January 27th of 2012, and so it's been about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years. And since that time, a lot has happened. I have been a 2-time elite coach, and I finished number 16 my first year in the business, number 16 out of 100,000 coaches at the time. And then this past year, I actually finished in the top 10. I finished number 8 in the entire company of, I think it was 140,000 coaches, which, that was never, ever, ever my plan, and I never even thought that was possible. I seriously just got into this to help people. And then last week, I'm really, really excited. It gives me goosebumps to say it, but, me and my team reached a very, very big goal. Some of my diamonds are on here tonight, but I reached 15-star diamond qualifying. And so for those that don't know what that means, that is the highest rank in all of Beachbody. And so that means I've been able to help create 15 personally sponsored diamonds, or 15 personally sponsored leaders on my team. I've helped 15 people, start building successful businesses for themselves. And in my entire downline, we have about 50 diamonds in my whole downline. And so that is really, really exciting to me because that means it's not just me creating diamonds. That's my leaders creating leaders creating leaders. So we go really, really deep, and that's a really, really big deal to me, and that's probably one of my coolest achievements so far. But all of that's not really telling you guys who I am or where I started. It didn't tell you how hard I worked to get there, because believe me, I busted my butt every dang day. And it doesn't tell you the struggles that I faced to get to where I am today. And, when I started as a coach 2 years ago, I wasn't in the most optimal place to be starting my own health and fitness business. I mean, at the time, I was a new stay-at-home mom. Lincoln was only 2 at the time, and Lennox had just been born. I think he was 2 or 3 months old. And my husband was, a professional baseball player, and he was on the road for 9 to 10 months out of the year. And so basically, I was a single stay-at-home mom. I didn't have much help. I didn't have anybody, there to watch the kids while I worked my business or anything. I had to do it all at the same time on my own, with my kids in my lap half the time. And, on top of that, I was, really battling some really bad health issues. Most of you know I have thyroid, adrenal, and gut issues. Basically, it just left me exhausted. I don't think I tell you guys, or I don't tell enough people this, but literally there were days and weeks at a time where I didn't want to leave the house or get out of bed because I was so tired. And on top of that, I had the worst anxiety in the world. Seriously, I couldn't even hold a conversation with somebody because my body was just shaking. And so I really wasn't your best candidate to grow some huge health and fitness business, having to interact with people. But for me, I loved fitness and I loved clean eating. I had used P90X 2 times after having my boys, and I had lost 23 pounds both times. And, I had to get into serious clean eating because, while I was dealing with those health issues, if there was one thing that I learned out of it is to never take your body for granted, because it's going to catch up to you one day. It might not catch up to you tomorrow, but 10 and 15 and 20 years down the road, it is going to. And I was one of those girls that was like an energy drink junkie. I drank Red Bulls every day, 5-hour energies every day, Monster energy drinks, you name it. I was drinking at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, at the baseball fields with the baseball wives. And on top of that, before I had my kids, I had like a 5-year period where I was partying and drinking, 4 nights a week because I was a bartender and stuff. And so imagine all that, plus all the eating out that I did after drinking, that all, was going to catch up to me eventually. And it did. And my body pretty much collapsed from it and said, enough's enough, And so that was about the point where I started to have to make some big changes for myself. If I was going to get better, I had to make some changes. And so that was when I was introduced to Shakeology. Kelly Lease, who is on here tonight, she introduced me to Shakeology and, the coaching opportunity and stuff. And literally after about 3 to 5 days on Shakeology, my husband came up to me and he was like, babe, he's like, you're laughing. He's like, you're smiling again. Like, seriously, guys, like, that's how bad I was. Like, got to the point where I was not laughing or smiling because I felt so bad. And then when I started to clean the house, he knew something was wrong. And he literally, was so sold on Shakeology. He wanted to buy, stock in the company because cleaning had not happened in a long while, He really had to pick up the slack for me, I'm not going to lie, because, I was pregnant, I was sick, I just had a new baby, so he had to do a lot of that type of stuff for me. But that was about the point, when I was feeling so much better, I knew this was something special, and I knew that it helped me as much as it did, that literally I could save the world with Shakeology, and that was really my mission in life, and why I signed up, and why I was so passionate about it in the beginning, because it really did change my life. Did I sign up to make this a 6-figure business and be a top 10 coach and be 15-star diamond? No, that is the last thing that I really thought would ever happen. I literally had told my husband, the week that I signed up, that I think it's good for me to sign up, babe, because I needed to start doing something again to kind of take my mind off all of my issues, all of my health issues. And I figured, helping enough people, that would be the trick, and as crazy as it sounds, it really did work for me. I noticed the more that I started connecting with people and helping people, the happier that I felt and the better that I felt. And then plus, Shakeology was helping, but really it was helping people. Helping people feels good, and it gave me that purpose in life to wake up with, passion every day and be excited for something. And that is seriously the foundation that I built my business on. It wasn't, about making money. Yes, making $70 off a challenge pack, that is amazing, and that really helped my family, but it was just helping people regardless if they could help me or if they bought anything or if they wanted to join my team or not. So that is the first thing that I wanted you guys to focus on tonight and write down in your notes. Is to just help people regardless if they can benefit you or not. Just focus on being there for people, even if they're not going to join your team. Treat everyone exactly how you want to be treated. Just like Lindsay Matley said the other night, if you make this all about the money, it is seriously going to be a long, long and frustrating ride for you. But if you make it about how many lives you can touch that day or how many people you can impact that day, you're going to be so much happier. And I can guarantee you that you will have a much more successful business. Because this business is truly about helping other people be successful. Whether you're simply helping them lose, the last 5 to 10 pounds, or, maybe you're just being their cheerleader and encouraging them to stick to their workouts. Or, maybe you're helping them start their business and get started setting goals for themselves, and maybe hitting Success Club for the first time. Those are all great ways to make an impact. But, those are both ways that I built the solid foundation of my business that I did, simply by helping people see results, not pushing them. I didn't try to fit them into little boxes, into what I needed them to be. Just figure out what they want out of this, and then help them achieve what they want, because that's how you're going to find, true success and true happiness. But just, the whole focus should be, not just on yourself. It's on growing your team and growing your business, but that is going to start with you. You see that little guy up there? It says it starts with you. And so in my eyes, there really are 3 ways that this business starts with you. At first, I only had 2, but then there was a third one. I had to throw it in there. And the first one, of course, is being a product of the product. I think it's important, before you can inspire others, then you've got to inspire yourself. To be a successful coach, you've got to be a product of the product. You've got to be a walking billboard for your business. I'm constantly trying to get my next after picture. Do the 21-day fix if you have to. Take 21 days and dedicate it to your business, but get that after picture. Don't overlook this part, because this is so huge. Because you want to be that product of the product. You want to be able to inspire people with your journey and your results. And so make sure that you're actively pursuing that all the time, because that's going to make a huge difference in your business. It's just that little thing. Just add that in there, and you are going to see a huge growth in your business. And number 2 is be relatable. And what I mean by that is, everything that you are doing publicly on Facebook and on Instagram, you're kind of telling a story to the world, and you're even projecting a story to future coaches. Because the more that you make what you do as a coach relatable and duplicatable, the more coaches that you're going to attract, the more people that are going to be attracted to you. And what I mean by this is, say we have 2 different coaches that we're following on Facebook. We all have these coaches. Maybe like Mindy Winder or Janelle, they're branding themselves. They're sharing their journeys, their before and after pictures. They're just trying to inspire people, to eat clean and train lean. And then they're asking questions. They're engaging with people. They're interested in people. They talk about a variety of things. They talk about their family. They talk about their love, maybe of fashion. Maybe they love dogs. But then you're going to have that other coach that is posting about their challenge group every 2 hours, or they're posting about join my team, or they're posting, that Beachbody has 21-day fix on sale. Contact me. And all those little things like that, they're posting, maybe every once in a while they're posting a motivational picture, but no words with it. They're just, throwing it out there, thinking I'm adding value. So look at those 2 different types of coaches. I mean, we see them every day. We have them on our news feeds. Which coach's team would you rather join, and who would you want to follow? And so that is why this business starts with you. You want to make coaching and joining your team look like anybody can do this, and it's not about spamming or marketing or making uncomfortable posts. We're not traditional MLM. We're different. We're here to help people. We're here to build relationships. We're loving life. We're sharing our journey, and we're adding value to other people. So really pay attention with what message you are giving to your followers about what coaching is. And just really, plug into social media training, because that is going to make a huge difference. And I remember Lindsay Notley the other night, we learned so much from her, and her advice on picking the 5 things that you want to talk about, that you want to relate to people with, and rotate on those. But either way, you need to figure out a way to make yourself relatable. And then last is, if you want your team to grow, then you have got to grow first. And just like Lindsay said the other night, you are never going to attract a coach that is better than you. And you can look at that as like a curse, like a bad thing, or you can look at that as like, heck yes, that is awesome, because the more that I do, the more my team's going to do. The more I expect out of myself, the more my team's going to do. And then the more that you grow, the better coaches that you're going to attract along the way. I know as a beginning coach, I attracted different coaches then than I attract now. And same thing goes for you. The coaches that you attract when you're a new coach are going to change, from what you attract whenever you've been in the business for a year or 2 years or 3 years. And that comes from growing. That comes from doing personal development and expecting more out of yourself. And so it's really important for you to set that tone. How do you want your business to run? How do you want your team to run? So that your coaches and your team follows your lead, because they're basically going to do anything that you do. So when you grow and raise your ceiling, they're going to grow and raise their ceiling as well. And so it's just important to remember that. Let me go ahead and flip slides here. 1 second, guys. Okay, so now it's going to kind of show you what we're going to cover tonight, because that was just kind of like the intro. But tonight we're going to go over recruiting, how to find coaches, how to bring up coaching, and how to close the deal once somebody is interested, and then getting new coaches started right. This originally wasn't going to be in there, but I think a lot of you guys wanted to know what I'm doing with my coaches, so we'll talk about that. But, giving them a vision and a plan, and then duplication, making it so easy a caveman can do it. And then continuing to grow and lead from the front. So this is all about leadership, the 80-20 rule, skin in the game and doing mentor calls, and then balancing your time as a leader. Because, as you progress in this business, you're going to have to balance between growing your own business and then helping your teams grow their business as well. And everybody always wants to know, what is the key balance? What is the number? And it's really different for everybody, but we'll get into that. And so first, we're going to go ahead and talk about recruiting and how to find coaches. The first thing that I talk about literally on a Getting Started Right call, it's usually at the end of the call, but I tell my new coaches to always be working from a list. And I usually have them make 2 lists. And I know you guys do this as well, but just to reiterate, I make a list, have a list of people that would be benefited to getting into your challenge. So maybe you know somebody that would benefit from Shakeology. Maybe you know somebody that needs to lose weight. Make a huge list of everybody that you want in your challenge. But then on top of that, I want them to start thinking about who are those people that they want on their team, down the road, who would you want on your team? Really think about that. Maybe you know some people that love fitness, or maybe they love nutrition. Maybe they run marathons. Maybe they do CrossFit. Maybe they are a stay-at-home mom, like me, that this would fit perfect in their lives. Or maybe they don't like their job, they want a new job, or they have said that on Facebook, because some people do that. And then maybe you've seen people say they don't have money for this or whatever. Those are all reasons to write their names down and really start building relationships with those people. My goal every day is to find 5 new people to build a relationship with that I don't know. Because that gets me 5 more people into my network that I could eventually, maybe they're going to see one of my posts go up about my challenge group, or maybe they're going to see a join my team post. And I'm like, dang, I really need to do something different. And that's because I started building relationships with them. But next is, always be running a monthly challenge group. I know most of you guys are doing this, but some are not. And this is where you're going to find your best coaches. Because I have coaches come to me that aren't running challenge groups, and they're like, why doesn't anybody want to join my team? And I'm like, well, you're kind of putting the carriage before the horse here, because challenge groups are the first thing you need to focus on, because that's where you're helping people. You're helping them love, the products. They're getting addicted to Shakeology like all of us. They're loving the workouts. They're seeing results. They love the challenge groups. They love the accountability. That is where I found all of my top coaches, is in those challenge groups, because, they're just in it. They love it. And then also what you can do, what I've been doing, is running free 5 or 7 day clean eating challenge groups. And I've actually found quite a few of my new coaches lately, because they simply just love this little group. I just gave them a 7-day free cleaning meal plan with a shopping list. We all left it out for 7 days. Of course, we ended up having 300 to 400 people in there, because if you say free meal plan, everybody and their mother starts running and they want to join. And so these groups are great for building relationships and just finding people that thrive with clean eating. Everybody gets results. And then not only are you going to have potential coaches that are really standing out and shining in those groups, but you're going to have people that want to continue on to your fitness challenge as well, because that's what I do after I do these 7 days. They just flow right into a fitness challenge, and I find those people that are really ready to kick it up a notch. And so that's a great way, to find more potential coaches as well. And then, to always be expanding your network on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're on, Twitter, always be adding more people. And what I tell my new coaches, it's just something so simple. Like when I was a new coach, I literally went to the prettiest friend on my Facebook list and went to their friends list. And then, the friends list is up, and up top it's going to say people you may know. And you click there, and it's going to bring up, mutual friends that you have in common. And then I would just pick, 3 to 5 people from that list every day. And then in the next couple days, I would start liking and commenting on their photos, building relationships with people. And so same thing that you can do and tell your coaches to do as well. But the next thing, I usually used to tell my new coaches to start a like page, like a fitness like page on Facebook. But with all the changes that Facebook has made, I really am not pushing that anymore. And I don't think it's the best idea unless, you're a coach that has $150 to $300 every month to invest in paying for ads for your Facebook. Because Facebook, you're not going to get many people seeing your posts unless you pay for it. And so what I tell my new coaches is to focus on building a solid foundation on their personal page first. Because I don't want them starting some fitness page and having to do double the work, like they're having to post on their personal page and they're having to post on their, fitness page, and they're not getting any feedback on that page. And so it's really pointless. I want them to focus their efforts on doing the things that are going to move their business forward with the least amount of effort. And so that's something for you guys to remember as well. But I could go on and on about how to expand your network, but Megan Wazinski, on week 2 of the 60 Days to Star Diamond Training, she did the webinar over expanding your network. And that, webinar was money. I mean, there was so many ways to expand your network, it wasn't even funny. And so make sure you're taking time to go back to that. If you don't know how to expand your network, then that's something that you need to plug into. And then also plug into, of course, the social media training as well, because you got to be relatable, like I talked about earlier. But just really find what works for you, what's working, and pick those 2 to 3 things and stick with it, master it, make it yours. But next I'm going to talk about, bringing up the coaching opportunity and the different ways that I, usually do that. So one second, let me flip my slide here. Okay, so there's a few ways that I bring up coaching. Generally, most of my work is done on Facebook. And a lot of people are asking me, like, how do I do face-to-face? And I'm like, I don't know, because I built my entire business on Facebook. I mean, I have met a couple people here and there along the way, but I never try to bring the business up. If I meet somebody, it's strictly to build a relationship with them. Maybe tell them, to add me on Facebook or whatever, or I'll add them right there. But I won't go into anything about coaching because I feel like less is more. Like, I don't really want to vomit on somebody in person. Because then I might scare them away. Like, I want to get them in a comfortable setting. I can get them to listen to a call, or I get them on a phone where they're just a little bit more comfortable. But you guys, I do most of my work on, Facebook, and so it's either, through a personal message or a public Facebook post. And I think, everybody asks, like, which one's better? Should I personal message more, or should I post on Facebook more? And I really think it's best to do a mixture of both. But think of it like an iceberg. You see that picture there? Most of the stuff is happening beneath the surface. And that is exactly what you want your business to look like as well. If you kept posting every day about your challenge group and joining your team, you're going to be drowned out. You're going to be white noise before long. People are just going to totally block you or unfriend you and think you're weird. And so my rule of thumb is to, during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is to add value, engage with people, build relationships, really just connect with people. And then, like, usually on, Sunday, I'll post something about my challenge group, or every once in a while I'll post something about the opportunity. So that's kind of how I do things, because, I really feel like adding value and connecting with people gets way more people into my challenge groups than posting every day about my challenge groups. And that's because I'm taking time to help them, without any strings attached. I'm giving them tips, motivation, pointers on eating clean and stuff, all for free. And then, once I do make that post on Sunday, they're going to think, hey, like, this girl really helped me this week. Like, she's really motivational. I think, I like her. I think I want to join her challenge. And that's exactly what I want. I want people to trust me. I want them to know that I'm going to take care of them, that I'm not just trying to sign them up to sell them a challenge pack and then leave them high and dry. And so, that's the kind of thing that you could do with your business as well, earning that trust, really connecting with people. And so you aren't just selling them a challenge pack. But other than that, other than my couple of posts, my once a week posts, I'm doing all of my work behind the scenes, and in private messages. And that's what I find, works way better. You can get way more done behind the scenes. You don't have to, ruin your reputation by posting spam on your page every day. With my newer coaches, I really feel they need to do all of their work behind the scenes, because you don't want your new coach showing up one night, as an overnight fitness guru or like a Beachbody fanatic out of the blue. You want it, to happen slowly. You want them to build that solid foundation and work into more fitness or business type posts. And, most likely, they haven't even had time to expand their network that much. And so doing a lot of work behind the scenes and like personal messages is the best way for them to begin building their business without coming off like the overnight fitness guru or spamming people. They're really earning their permission to begin talking more and more about that. But like I said, the personal messages, it doesn't have to be super complicated. When you personal message somebody, don't cold message somebody about the opportunity. You definitely want to build the relationship first. But don't overcomplicate the message whenever you're messaging somebody about the opportunity. Just keep it short and sweet. You don't want to attempt to present the business in the entire first message. And so I was going to go through a couple of examples tonight with you guys, but then I decided that wasn't the best use of my time. And so what I did was I created a little template for you guys. And you can go and download that in the 60 Days to Star Diamond group. I'm going to give you a few examples of what I say for personal messages when I talk to somebody about the opportunity. And I'm also going to give you some examples on how I do my public Facebook posts. So that way you've got it right there. You can read through it, make sense of it. You can personalize it for yourself. And these are things that you need to personalize and you need to start duplicating with your teams. When you sign up a coach, these are the things that you need to be giving them. So that way, when they have somebody ask, what is coaching? They're going to have this little template to be able to pass on to them. And they're going to feel comfortable, copying and pasting it and personalizing it. And then, I have a personal message template, and then I have the Facebook post template. And, I have a few ways of bringing up the opportunity using Facebook posts. I mean, there's a few ways that you can do it. The first one is to share a success story. Like I share a success story from one of my coaches on my team. Maybe I had, Nikki Whiting make, more money than she did in 1 month as a coach than she did as a teacher a couple months back. And I shared that. And then at the bottom, I said, if you're interested in learning more about the opportunity, post your email below or comment below and I will message you a short call or something. And so just simple, something just as simple as that, or even without saying if you're interested in joining opportunity, sharing just a story, that's planting seeds with people. They're like, dang, I'm a teacher. I want to not work here anymore. I want to earn full-time income from home. And you're not even telling them hey, if you're interested in coaching, contact me. You're just sharing a story. And they're relating that and they're going to probably contact you later because that sparked their interest. And you can also use, share your own stories. And you don't have to be a six-figure earner or make $1,000 a week to share an amazing story. I know as a new coach, making an extra $200 meant so much to me and my family. You know, I got to purchase the baby stroller that I wanted to because my husband wouldn't let me because it was too expensive, and I got to save up and do that on my own. And I did it all by helping people, you know, like little things like that, just sharing your little victories. Maybe you made $70 and that helped you put a, you know, tank of gas in your car. I mean, those are all really, really great things. Or maybe, you know, some people share that their challengers lose 10 pounds, you know, in 2 weeks or something. Those are all things that spark interest without saying, join my team or join my challenge. You know, it's sneaky marketing. So be a little bit more sneaky with your stuff. And then the third thing that I do with my public Facebook posts is internship group posts. And these are really, really great tools to have. My business has definitely picked up tenfold since I started running my own challenge group, or my own internships and new Coach Basics groups. And so, you know, it really set me apart from most coaches who are just signing up coaches and they really don't have a plan for the coaches. They just want to sign up coaches. And so by running my own groups, that really just set me apart. And that sets you apart as a leader. Like, oh, she knows what she's doing. You know, she's serious about this. And so it's really just showing that you're stepping up. You're going to take responsibility for this person. And I find that has been something that separated me in my business from other coaches, was just taking ownership of my business, not waiting for, you know, Mindy to do a new coach group or another coach or Amanda Armline to do a new coach group. I just said, I'm going to do it. You know, I linked up with some of my coaches and we ran it together. And so it's the same thing that you guys can do as well. But again, that template, I'm going to post it in there, so don't message me yet. I'm going to post it in there right when I get done. But next we're going to talk about, you know, how to close the deal with coaches, okay? And hopefully are you guys still here with me? Hopefully. Okay, I see Andrea. All right, guys, we're going to talk about, you know, how to close the deal with coaches. So now you've got some people. They're like, hey, what is coaching, or what is this coaching stuff? You know, so what are you going to do next? And I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I do when having people interested in the coaching opportunity. And it really is nothing complicated. It's seriously so simple, it's stupid. Because it really is. And so just remember that less is more. And you don't have to go through the whole coach's policies and procedures to get a coach on your team. Because I've seen some people, I'm like, send me what you sent that person. And they'll send it to me, and it's like this novel of like everything about the business and the business views and everything. And I'm like, whoa, like, no. We got to do less is more here. And so first, whenever people show interest, you know, I always want to know why they're interested in coaching, because something sparked their interest. And so it's kind of good to know, you know, why they're interested and what they're wanting to do with this. So, you know, you can always start out with that. Again, this is going to be in a template that I'm going to give you. So just bear with me here. We're just going to talk it through, you know, because it's so important to know kind of what they want out of this. So that way you know how to help them. You know how to structure the conversation and stuff. And then I tell them, you know, of course, I would love to tell them more about coaching, but I feel like the best way for them to learn would be to listen to this short 20-minute call that I hosted a couple weeks ago. And it's going to explain more about what coaching is and answer a lot of their questions. So just message me back if that sounds good, and I will send it over to you. So literally, it's that simple. I don't go into my whole slew about coaching, how it changed my life, or whatever. I say, you know, I would love to tell you more about it. This is the best way for you to learn, because guess what? On that call, I have a call with me and Mindy Winder sharing our stories. Stories sell. That's what's going to get people, like, you know, relating to people, having the same, you know, like, you know, issues when they're signing up. Like, I didn't want to get into an MLM company. I was shy. I had anxiety. Same thing with Mindy. She's shy from a small town. Those things really are great. So that way you're not sitting there having to present the business to them. It is being presented to you by a professional. And it's seriously that simple, because less is more to me. And, you know, we're so lucky to have those team calls. I know, you know, I'm sure Scotty Hobbs and Megan has their What is Coaching calls that you can use for your team. But it's just nice to have that done. I remember when I was a new coach, I always used Mindy's calls and Janelle's calls until, like, seriously, like 6 months ago, I used their calls. So, newsflash, I mean, they really do work, and you don't have to present the business to yourself. You don't have to be an expert to make it happen. And so let's go ahead and move on Okay, where was I going with that here? Okay, so yeah, basically after you tell them, hang on, I've missed my spot here. 1 second, guys. Okay, so basically after that, after they've listened to the call, you're going to want to get them on the phone, because I used to try to sign up coaches on the computer, right? And I know we all try to do this because we think, oh, I don't want to get on the phone, it's scary. But it's best to get them on the phone. Because you're going to learn so much more about them. You're going to connect so much better. And I find if I get somebody on the phone, they're going to sign up as a coach, because we're going to talk through this thing. And I'm going to give them a plan and a vision. At first, it's scary. It is, because you're like, what if I say something wrong? Or what if I don't know how to answer it? But really, the more that you do it, the better that you're going to get at it. Kind of like these webinars, like, geez, I used to be so deathly afraid to even speak 2 words on a call, let alone speak on a whole entire webinar, guys. And so same thing with these calls, you just got to do it and you're going to get better at it. And once you do it, it's going to become like clockwork. Like, I swear I can knock out these calls so quick, and I just sign up a coach right there, because I know exactly what they're thinking. I know their hesitations. I know what they want to know. I know what questions they're going to ask. And so when you get them on the phone, you're going to want to have that plan, knowing what they're going to want to know. But first, you're going to want to turn it around on them. And let me go ahead and flip to the next thing here. And so we're going to kind of go through, what you're going to talk about on the phone. And so first, you're going to want to, ask more about what they thought about that What Is Coaching call. That's one of the first things that I ask. Is like, hey, I know I sent you that call. Did you have a chance to listen to it? What did you think? And they're going to kind of go through and tell me what they think, because this kind of turns it around on them. I want to know what they liked about it, and then I want to know, did they have any other questions? Because I know on those calls we really don't go into, what we do as a coach, and we probably should. But and then I kind of go into, what we kind of do as a coach. But then I like to know more about them. I always want to know more about them. We talk more about, why they were interested in coaching, what they kind of want out of this. What is their schedule like? Do they have a full-time job, or are they a stay-at-home mom? How could this work in their lives? Just those little types of questions. Do they want this to be just a couple extra $100 a month, or are they looking to leave their job long-term, or maybe they're a stay-at-home mom and they want to be able to bring their husband home? Those little things, it's just nice to know. But I always let them know, if they just want to make a couple extra $100, I can show them how to do that. I can tell them the basic little things that they need to do to make a couple extra $100 every month. But if they do want to eventually make this their full-time income, we can do that too. If they want to walk, I'll walk. If they want to run, I'll run. If they want to sprint, I'll sprint. And that's pretty much what I tell them. And then I just try to give them a vision, because I know that's what coaches want to know. They want to know what's going to happen once they sign up. What is the first month going to look like? And so that's really what I try to do. I say, really what we're going to do, we're going to try to get you started as simple as possible. What I have all my new coaches do, we sign them up on a challenge pack, because, you're going to get your Shakeology, and you're going to get your workout, and you're going to get your free coach sign-up fee, and you're going to have everything that you need to get your business going. And then plus, you're going to have your workout and Shakeology to see results for yourself, because that is going to push your business forward better than anything else that we can do. And so that is basically what I tell them. And so don't be afraid to tell them what is going to be best for their business, what is going to make them successful. And if they say, well, I really don't have the money right now. In the beginning, I might not have been as forward, but now I tell them, well, you can look at it like that. I don't have the money right now. But I've had coaches in the past not have money. I've had, one coach, her house burnt down 2 weeks before, and she had a brand new baby, 2-week-old baby. This Lauren Mayeski, I'm not sure if she's on right now, but, her house had just burned down. They had no money, and she literally could have said, I don't have money to sign up. But you know what? She decided to gather up some gift cards and credit cards and make it work, and she signed up with a Reset Challenge Pack. And now she's making $2,000 a week as a coach a year later. And so, like, I would tell people, like, you can look at it two different ways. Like, I don't have money, like, I can't do this, I can't buy Shakeology, or I don't have money, I need to do something different, you know? I need to make a change. And so that's really one way that you can approach, you know, that type of, you know, rebuttal or whatever. But from there, you know, I'm going to let them know that, you know, after we get them signed up on our challenge pack, I'm going to send them a new coach email, and they will start there. It's going to give them their first steps as a coach, and then we're going to set up a Getting Started Right call and kind of go over their first steps as well. And then I usually try to go in deeper about their vision and their plan and just let them know what to expect their first month as a coach. So that way they just feel comfortable, you know, they feel like you're going to take care of them. They're not going to be left high and dry. It's going to be this simple and easy plan. They're going to do it, and they're going to have success. And this kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about next, guys, and that is getting coaches started right. And so, let me see here. Let me just flip that here. Okay. Well, where did it go? One second, I'm missing something here. Okay, so getting coaches started right. You know, you're going to give them that vision and a plan. And like I said a second ago, you know, you've got to give your potential new coaches that vision or that plan that takes the guesswork out, that makes it so easy that a caveman can do it. Paint the picture for them full out. And right now, I will tell you guys, I'm starting every new coach. Their first Getting Started Right call is literally over how to do a 7-day clean eating challenge. Because, like, I want them to take action. Like, I really feel like blind action is better than no action at all. And so I package up this little template. I give them a 7-day cleaning meal plan. I give them a 7-day challenge group template that shows exactly what to post in the group every single day. So that way it's so easy. I mean, all they have to do is copy paste and invite, you know, 50 people. They can copy paste the template to invite publicly on Facebook too. And it just makes it easy. And then in the meantime, while they're doing this group and setting up this group, they are learning the business. They're doing, like, you know, the Coach Training Academy. They're doing, like, the Getting Started Right webinar from Mindy and Janelle. All those little things during this first week. But that's really the first week. Within the first week, they have to start this group, the 7-day cleaning group, because I don't want coaches sitting around accumulating a bunch of information and not taking action. And so hopefully that makes sense. And I know some coaches are like, most coaches are like, heck yeah, like, that sounds awesome. But you'll have some that are like, okay, maybe I need a little bit longer. And that's fine. Everybody's different. But usually everybody's like, heck yes, because it's so easy. I'm giving you this foolproof plan. I've done it. 50 of my coaches have done it, and they've seen success. Here you go. Here's the packaging. All you have to do is make a little bit of time and copy paste, and maybe personalize just a little bit. And so it really does take the guesswork out of coaching. It takes the fear out of that first week or two of coaching. And then after they finish that group, I tell them we're going to set up another call right before you finish that group, and we're going to go over how to transition that group into a fitness challenge. You know, how are we going to invite those people, the ones that are ready, that are loving it, that are ready to go into the fitness challenge? How are we going to do that? And that's what we'll talk about before the group ends. So that's kind of like our second call. And then we'll kind of go over Success Club and stuff like that. But the second thing is, you know, duplication. That is what I am really, really good at. You know, making templates, making it so easy a caveman can do it. Like, that is my thing with my coaches, because I know it's hard as a new coach. It's scary. It's overwhelming. So if you can make these things simple, give them this foolproof plan, it's going to really, really take a lot of fear out of your coaches. It's going to get them feeling comfortable. They're going to, like, feel on top of the world when they have, like, 30 or 40 people in their cleaning group. Like, that's an amazing feeling, like, when you first get your first little group going. And that's just really going to spur them on to succeed. They know how to succeed. They know, you know, it's all about building relationships, because they're learning that in that first 7 days. It's not about selling. It's about building relationships. And so that's really, you know, what I've done with my team is everything that I do that I see success with, I create a template. You know, when I was a new coach and I got asked, what is Shakeology? You know, what does it do? I responded so many times that my fingers hurt, so I had to make a template so I could copy paste. And so I ended up giving that to my coaches. Whenever they signed up, they know what to say about Shakeology. You could do templates over, like I did one over the 21-day fix group, like how to invite to the 21-day challenge group. And so they have that template as well. And so it's a foolproof plan. So think about that. Whenever you're going through your seeing success, package it up and give it to your coaches. It will just make it that much easier for them to get success started way sooner than you did, without failing so many times. And then next, we're going to go ahead and go into this next part here. And wait, that is not where we're at here. Oh, I missed these slides. Sorry, guys. It's continuing to grow and lead from the front. I am not a professional. Anybody can do this crap, I promise. Okay, so we've got the 80-20 rule here. You've got to keep moving. They say that 20% of your downline is going to produce 80% of your volume. And so what that means is you can't get wrapped up in carrying coaches. And the coaches that want to be there, that truly want this in their lives, they're going to be there till the end. You should not have to motivate people and hold their hand and want this for them, because they really have to want it for themselves. And so, I know I had a lot of people ask, I posted in the Star Diamond group, like, what do you guys want to learn? And I had people like, how do I make my team want this? How do I make them do this? But that really is not your job to make other people want it. You just have to lead from the front, do your thing, be motivated as heck, show them exactly what to do, show them exactly what success looks like, make it as easy as possible, give them those templates and stuff. But if they're not willing, like if I give a coach this 7-day template and they come back and say they didn't start the group, that it was too hard, then I'm like, okay, well, you didn't meet me halfway. So we'll set up your next call after you've done the group. And literally that's how it goes now, because like they've got to meet you halfway. Just like Lindsay said the other night, they have got to meet you halfway. You can't carry them. You can't drag them along. And so just remember that. And then the next thing is what I'm saying here is skin in the game. And these are the mentor calls that I do with my coaches. Like after I do their getting started right call and their second call, like usually I'll do their first 2 calls. But then if they want to stay, interacting with me, they want to have weekly calls with me, they have to put skin in the game. And so to be on those calls with me, they have to send me a weekly accountability form every Sunday night. It kind of gives me a snapshot of their business, what their goals are that week, what they're working on, what challenge group they've got going on, every little tidbit about what is going on in their business, because that shows me like I'm working my business. I care. I'm doing the things that you are telling me to do. I'm hitting the goals that we're setting for me and stuff like that. So that way, when it comes around to our call, and I see that form in my email, I think this person wants to be here. They really want it, and they deserve my time, because as you grow in this business, like even if a new coach, like if you work a full-time job, you don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste with coaches that say they want it but don't follow up with their actions. You really have to protect your time always, because none of us have time to be wasting. And so my coaches get their first 2 calls on the house. Like I'm going to help get you started. We're going to get the 7-day group going. We're going to get you flowing into your fitness group. But then after that, they have to put skin in the game and, be giving me these weekly accountability forms. So that way I know that they are in it and they are earning my time. I used to try to do those Zoom meetings. I know a lot of you guys do the Zoom meetings as like groups and stuff like that. And those are great. I love them, but I don't know, for me, I love doing the one-on-one calls, because I can work, specifically with that person on their goals and what they need to work on that week. And so, everybody's a little bit different. They're on, a different path than the other person. And so that's kind of why I like doing the one-on-one stuff. Yes, it takes more time, but I'm getting really great results from it. I'm getting coaches that are staying accountable with me on a weekly basis and not falling off. And so it's another idea that you can see if you can implement into your business. I mean, this is not I'm not God here and telling you this is what you need to do. I'm just giving you ideas on how you can work your business. If you need to switch something up, if something isn't working, then make some changes and see if it works for you. But next is, I don't even know if it's on here. I didn't even put it on this thing here. But I want to talk about telling coaches what they need to hear instead of what they want to hear. As a newer coach, I held back a lot of times what I knew my coaches needed to hear because I didn't want to push them too hard, or I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But it turns out that is exactly what your coaches want from you, is to tell them the truth, tell them exactly what they need to be doing. Don't beat around the bush. Don't think that you're going to hurt their feelings. Just really tell them what they need to do to be successful, and they're going to thank you more in the long run. I have a lot of my coaches, they like it when I push them because it's helping them, get past their own self-doubt and their own self-issues and stuff like that. So don't be afraid to tell people exactly what they need to do to get the results that they want. And then last, I want to talk about, balancing your time as a leader, between growing your business and helping your teams grow, because you don't ever want to get to a point to where, yes, it's great to help your team grow. That is huge, doing trainings, YouTube videos, getting on mentor calls and stuff like that. But at the same time, you don't ever want your own business to take the back burner, because you have to actively be adding to your team, growing your team, for this to be as big as you want. If you want to get to Mindy Winder, making over $20,000 a week, or I am earning over $10,000 a week now, 2 years into the business. It's going to take a lot of consistency, and it's going to take growing your team, continually growing your team every day, bringing in new coaches all the time, because like we said, not everybody that's going to get in the business is going to want to work this business. And so you just have to remember that, keep searching for the ones that want it. So if you're a diamond coach right now and you're like, how do I make my team want this? You're doing the wrong thing. You got to keep going. You got to keep going and finding those next people, because you are slowing down your own business to carry some people that you shouldn't be carrying. I had, a couple coaches early on in my business that, I just wanted for them to do it. I knew they had everything that they ever needed to be successful, but instead of worrying about them, I said, I gotta go, I gotta keep going, and I did. And now some of them are coming back, and now they're being really successful, because everybody has their perfect timing. Everybody's gonna have to go through something in their life that's gonna say, I gotta make this work for me, and that's when they're gonna want it. And so, stop worrying about those coaches. Yes, you want to say, okay, get on this ship, we're going, find out who's going with you, and make a new plan going forward. But from the meantime, it's focusing on the new people that you're bringing into your business. Maybe you could have tweaked something. Maybe you could have been a little bit, had more accountability with your coaches. Figure out what needs to change and make the change going forward. Stop worrying about the people that don't really want it in the long run. But that's kind of a tough subject, but it's something that I kind of wanted to end the call on tonight. But anyways, I hope that I didn't preach too much to you guys. I hope it was at least some informative for you guys. But I was going to open up for questions, but we've been on here for an hour, and so I'm going to go ahead. Love my tough love. Thanks. I'm really sweet, I swear. I want the best for you guys. I know everybody on here wants to be successful, and I want you to be successful too. And so I got to tell you what you need to hear, and not just what you want to hear, But we've got 1 week left to go diamond. I hope you guys know that. I think it's March 6th is the cutoff. That's what Mindy told me. And so give it all you got. Make stuff happen. If you are close, even if you just have 4 coaches, you could totally pull this off. I just had a coach, Sarah. She's on here right now. She went diamond in 2.5 weeks because she just made her list and she started getting to work. So you guys knock it out for this next week and let's make it happen. I want to see some more diamonds pop up. But thank you guys again for being here. Next Monday, We're going to have part 2 of this week 8, and it's going to be over maximizing the compensation plan with Jason Diebold. This thing is money. Like, you have to, literally, it's about money. It's about maximizing your income, seriously, and how, rank is not always everything. And so being 15-star diamond is not as good as making more money, right? So he's going to teach you guys how to make more income and not just be higher in rank, which is really, really cool. So definitely be there for that. And then, again, I'm going to post these templates. I have 2 templates that I'm going to give you. They're going to be posted in the Star Diamond Facebook group. If you guys have any questions, please just tag me into like the Star Diamond group or something, because my email are kind of already been blowing up. But thank you guys for getting on, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.